All right. I could not wait to talk to Joe Theismann because I did something for a friend of his. And he's going to love this. Okay? Before I bring Joe Theismann up here. Now, August 31st, it's UM versus Notre Dame. How you doing? I'm ready to roll on that bad puppy. But I told my friend, I'm getting Joe Theismann on today, and he's watching right now. And you know what I did? I said, Terry Hanratty, since I vote for the College Football Hall of Fame, you get my vote. He lives in Connecticut and New Canaan. And now I don't know if Joe followed him or Terry was there before him. So let's bring in the former NFL MVP and Notre Dame alum himself, our friend Joe Theismann. Joe, now, I said to Terry, I go, I'm getting Theismann on. And I go, by the way, I got a surprise for you. I gave him my vote. And I don't know if he gets in, but I gave him my vote for the College Football Hall of Fame because I think it's well overdue. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he won a national title. And so I thought for sure, and I know he played with the Steelers and all, but was he before you or after you?
Actually, Terry was ahead of me. Hi, Danny. How are you? Good to catch up.
You bet, my friend.
Hey, yeah, Dan, Terry, Terry got hurt in practice his senior year. The last 3 games of the season, didn't play. I wound up starting. That was my sophomore year, so I played with Terry. Matter of fact, it was Coley O'Brien, Bob Belden, Terry Hanratty, and myself were the 4 quarterbacks. And I was the sophomore, and those 3 guys were seniors.
Man, hey, so you have a national title ring, right?
No, I was the meat between a sandwich. They won in 66 and they won in 72. And so I wound up when I was in school from 67 to 71.
What was the difference on being coached by Parsegian and Joe Gibbs? I mean, was there similarities?
Well, no, because Era really didn't do the offensive coordination like Joe did.
Huh.
Era called plays, but Tom, we had different coaches basically. That Tom Pagna was one, as a matter of fact, who was the offensive coordinator, and so he would put all the plays in, and Era would stand on a tower, about a 20-foot tower, and he would watch both offense and defense on either side of that tower. We would go against the second team defense, and our first team defense would go against the second team offense. And Era just really ran everything from up high, I guess you could say. He was above everything. He's scared the living daylights out of me. Sometimes somebody would come to say, "Hey, coach wants to see you." Go, "Oh God, what did I do?" You know that feeling. What did I do?
Oh no.
What did I do? What did I do? What did I do? So as it turns out, I wound up not doing anything. He just wanted to check and see how mom and dad were. Wanted to see how I was doing in school. But I love playing for Era.
Boy, I loved him too because he used to.
And then, by the way, also Dan, thank you for voting for Terry because he gets into the College Football Hall of Fame, and I agree with you. It was long overdue. He and Jim Seymour were a great combination back in the late, actually the early 70s, late 60s. And Terry was a Heisman Trophy candidate at that time. And before he got hurt, we had 3 games to go. He got hurt in practice, and Era looked at me and he said, "You're in." And it's a defining moment in my life because you have the opportunity now to be the starting quarterback at the University of Notre Dame. Can you handle the task?
Yeah.
Can you be a sophomore with a whole bunch of seniors and be able to lead the football team? And so it was really the first big test I had as in leadership, and also as far as a skill set goes, to be able to play the game.
I never asked you these questions before, and I asked Eric Dickerson this question. I go, "Did you enjoy playing on Saturdays or Sundays most?" And believe it or not, Eric said he enjoyed playing on Saturdays more when he was at SMU because he just enjoyed the college atmosphere. He enjoyed playing for Ron Myers and those guys. And, he said it was just, I just loved playing in college. I mean, for you, did you enjoy the pros more? Did you enjoy your experience at Notre Dame?
Well, that is one tough question. I can tell you now, the young people in college today do not enjoy it as much as we did because they're professional athletes now. So, and it changes the whole dynamic of the game. But I love Saturday afternoon. We used to stay at the monastery, St. Joe, across the lake at the university. We'd go to mass in the morning. We go to breakfast. Then we, get dressed, go back to our dorms for a little while, and then head for the stadium. We had the routine. And, as a professional, I was so blessed to be able to play in Washington in front of those fans. It made the experience incredible. And I think, and it was the same thing at the University of Notre Dame. I mean, the band was in one section, the student body was in another. We go running out of that tunnel, and there were a lot more games at the professional level than there were at the collegiate level. But I would say it's very difficult for me to choose between the two. I loved playing the game in front of the people I had an opportunity to play for, and also loved the opportunity to play with the guys I played with.
I'll ask you this one too, this last one, then I want to get to some Commander combo here. But for you, your journey was unconventional, to say the least, to get to where you became a Super Bowl champion and an NFL MVP. I mean, don't you take that experience at Notre Dame, going through playing such, and again, not that Notre Dame's not big time right now, because of course it is, but I think when you played during that era, the greatest players in the country, if you got a scholarship offer to go play at Notre Dame, those aren't handed out like they are today, like library cards. I mean, that's a big time deal back in the day to go to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Not, like I said, not dismissing the kids there now. I'm not doing that at all. But I mean, don't you think that helped you? And you're, people telling you and not believing in you at first, and all of a sudden you get to Joe and you get to Washington. That journey had to play a big factor in your success.
Oh, it did, Dan. It certainly did. It taught me an awful lot. I learned an awful lot at the university. I learned from the coaches, and then having a chance to play and start. And you're really always, the attention is always on the university. And if you're a quarterback at a university, the attention is on you. And how do you handle it? Roger Baldessari was our public relations director. And Roger really helped me tremendously from a media standpoint. Taught me how to talk to the media, explain things that I should say, explain things I shouldn't say. Emphasized how you conducted yourself. Those were all things that he stressed to me when I was there at the university. And certainly playing at Notre Dame under that microscope certainly gets you ready for professional ball. And I absolutely love playing at the university. I still love going back and walking around and just looking at the campus. It's grown tremendously, but it still has a small time feel. Because people will say to me, well, where'd you go to school? I said, I went to a small school in the Midwest called the University of Notre Dame. Everybody laughs, but we roughly have a little over 10,000 students only now. When I was there, it was like 7,200 students. It was all male. It was all, and St. Mary's was across the street if you found a girl to go on a date with. But it wasn't a big university, but what an incredible group of people that go there even today. I'm amazed at what they're able to accomplish. And congratulations to all of our women's sports. Our ladies are something else. I mean, they are just phenomenal, whether it's soccer, field hockey, basketball, it doesn't matter. They excel in every aspect of athletics at the university.
I enjoyed getting a recruiting trip there, and I enjoyed playing there.
Why didn't you go? My turn to ask a question.
Well, Jerry Fouts was a high school coach. And I was like, and I've amended men's with him because, we beat Notre Dame his last game 58-7. And Era wasn't very happy with us at the end of that because, I mean, you had come out of, I think, Coach Devine, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And I was recruited by Coach Devine. I would have played for him. I went to a Catholic high school. So I was going to go. I mean, but then, Jerry, and the whole thing from Moeller, and I don't know. I mean, I was recruited by Earl Bruce to go to play at Ohio State too, and
right.
I don't know. Believe me, my nuns were not very happy that I did not go to Notre Dame. I can tell you that.
It's interesting. Obviously, you explained why. When I made a trip to the University of Notre Dame, I'd already signed at North Carolina State University.
Huh? Wow.
See, I'd signed at North Carolina State. And Notre Dame invited me out and said, we'd like you to make a trip out. I said, well, I've already signed. So, well, we're an independent school. And back then, if you signed and changed schools, you'd lose a year of eligibility. But because Notre Dame was an independent, if I changed my mind and went to Notre Dame, I wouldn't lose the eligibility. So I flew out. As a matter of fact, I just saw Rocky Blyer this weekend, who was my chaperone there. And so I just saw him at the show we did here in Washington on Saturday. And so, we're going through the university, and I go out to the Rock, and they brought in a bunch of athletes. We weren't recruited specifically for positions as much as we were the athletes. So I wind up flying back to New Jersey. I get off the plane. My dad says, "What do you think?" I said, "I have to go to Notre Dame." He said, "Why?" I said, "Dad, it just feels right." And I contend this, Dan, that if we trusted our gut with decisions, we'd probably be right with a higher percentage than if we sat down and did all the analytics and all the studying and all the mental exercises that we do to try and figure out why we do things, right? Basically, I went to Notre Dame because I trusted my gut. It just felt right.
I chose Miami because of Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
And Jimmy just made me he goes, "Listen, I'm going to carve it out for you. You're going to have to walk it though. You want to get there? You want to get drafted? You want to go high? I'm going to carve the road out. But you have to walk the road."
That's great.
And so
that's great advice.
And so that's how the whole thing got with me going to the University of Miami. So let me ask you about the Commanders. I'm picking you to win the NFC East this year. And I'm a show in Philly. So not going over very well for me. But I will tell you this. I believe in what you're doing. I mean, I think they're here, let me lead it to you. How good do you think they'll be this year?
I think they can be better than they were a year ago because you didn't know really what you had. I mean, every game was a different adventure for them. I think they'll be better, but there's a couple of things that you have to take into consideration. The last 5 games of the regular season were all nail biters for this team last year. They won them, but it was, the overtime against Philadelphia, a field goal late, hitting a crossbar. I mean, there were so many different things that played out in our favor a year ago. And also the schedule's a whole different. I mean, you get the Detroit, you get the Kansas City Chiefs, you get the Detroit Lions, you get the Denver Broncos. You travel to Madrid, which I'm going to be on that trip, to play the Miami Dolphins in November. And then you got to think with Russell Wilson, the Giants are going to be more competitive. Philadelphia, is going to be more competitive. We gave them better games than Kansas City did in the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
It's the rivalry. And the Dallas Cowboys, you just don't know. You're assuming Dak's going to be back playing ball, and they'll probably wind up figuring out a way to get him some money to stay. And they're still a formidable opponent and a hated rival. So I mean, in the division, and they finished the division, they go Giants, Eagles, Cowboys, Eagles, the last 4 games. So it's unique what the National Football League has done, and I'm delighted the way they set it up. They make every game of the season from 1 to 18 interesting. And exciting. But I think this football team, are they going to win as many games? It's going to be hard to say. The big thing is keeping people healthy. Jaden has to stay healthy. They need to sign Terry McLaurin. I think there's no doubt in my mind that he needs to be signed. His value is greater than just his athleticism, his leadership, the type of a person he is, his presence in the locker room. They all account for something. And you know that. I mean, the locker room is a very sacred place at our level. It's a sacred place at any professional level. And even a collegiate level, even though there's so many. But at the professional level in particular, because you're there so long, so often, so much around the same people. And it truly becomes a family. And Terry is one of the main members of that family in Washington.
How good is he? Can I make a comparison? Maybe you're going to go, no way. But Art Monk was kind of unassuming. He was quiet, it seemed to me. And, he just went about his business. So like a Marvin Harrison, somebody who just goes about their business. You look up and you're like, holy cow, he's got 97 catches for 1,300 yards. Yeah. And you're like, wait a minute, where is this? When you look at Terry McLaurin, I mean, I hate to throw top 10 at you here, but where do you look at him in the NFL when it comes to the elite wide receivers in the game today?
I top 5. I put him in the top 5. And I think your Marvin Harrison comparison is a great one. Doesn't miss a practice, doesn't miss a game, always showed up, always shows up. And, these are things that it's hard to really emphasize this as much as it should be, to have a guy show up and work as hard as he does. I mean, he's the first one in line when it comes to receivers. He's the hardest working guy. He stays late. He does everything you want from a great professional. And he's not good. He's great. He really is. And I put him in the top 5. I put him up against anybody in this game. Is he the fastest guy? No. But you know what? I don't see people catch him when he runs down the field. He gets the ball in his hands. I see these 4-3 corners not catch him. Jerry Rice, I mean, Jerry was that way.
Right.
Right. Jerry wasn't the fastest guy, but yet you put the ball in his hand and it's a whole different animal. And so, it's Terry is, I think your analogy is very, very good when it comes to comparing him to Marvin.
How about this one here? I talked to Doug Williams a couple days ago, and I'm glad to see what they did for Bobby Beathard. They named a part of the facility
The draft room.
Bobby Beathard, and I'm glad to see that. So let me lead you to Adam Peters and the job that you think he's done since he's been the general manager of the team. It seems that he's like really putting the pieces back together on what Washington used to look like by acquiring great talent, either through free agency or through the draft.
Yeah, I think he's done a great job. I think the selections this year, each position where a player was selection with only 5 picks, I believe, but every one of those positions were either one where you needed depth or you needed somebody to play right away. I mean, I thought he did a terrific job of selecting the players that he wanted and the positions that he needed to fill. And he's been doing that. See, the other thing too is, Adam has something in his pocket that a lot of GMs don't have. He has a rookie quarterback. So you're not paying him 20% of your salary cap. He has the ability to identify and go get players. Having Bobby Wagner come back, I think, was so important. He understands the value of blending youth with veterans and experience. Adam really has a great handle on all of that, the way he wants to put this team together. And Dan's the same way. I mean, they walk lockstep. They really do. I mean, they understand what they want. Adam knows what he's looking for. I mean, the consistency that you saw in San Francisco was unbelievable where he came from. So, he understands how to build, and he understands what this team needs, and he can identify it. And not only do they go get the talent, but they get the right kind of people, because it's a long year, and things wear thin through the course of a year. And you don't see them pouting you don't see receivers pouting on the sidelines and reading books. And I still don't understand. That still escapes me to a large degree.
The A.J. Brown reading the book on the
– I just,
if you had a wide receiver do that to you and you walked off the field and there's your receiver reading War and Peace, I don't know, like the book of the club month kind of guy. I mean, there he is.
You know what I would do, Dan? First of all, I would take the book that he has away and give him mine, How to Be a Champion Every Day, and say, if you want to read something, read this one, okay?
Oh, my God. That is so awesome, Joe. I mean, I didn't get the book thing either. I'm like,
I just, I mean, it's like I said, it's a different animal this year. They're different kinds of guys. Everybody has guys. Coaches let players do certain things, and it's not like it was when I played. It's a different world, but it's entertaining. Whatever guys need to do, to keep themselves in the game and get ready. I don't necessarily think that that's keeping yourself in the game when you're sitting on a bench reading a book while the game's going on. I don't quite get that, but hey, he's a terrific football player. He's an important part of the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles, and congratulations to him. I thought that front four was as good a front four as I've ever seen, and I don't care who you are as a quarterback. When they can rush 4 and put pressure on you and drop 7, there's very few places that you can go with the football in a very short period of time. And by the way, before we have to part ways here, I want to talk about the American Century Golf Tournament that is coming up the 11th through the 13th in July, played in Lake Tahoe. The Kelsey brothers are there. And I think this was taking me sort of to Travis. I think Travis is going to have a terrific year. I know he's extremely disappointed in the way he played last year and the way the year went. I look for him to have a huge comeback year. I really do. He's going to be a man on a mission this year. But Aaron Rodgers is going to be there, and a newly minted Pittsburgh Steeler quarterback. Obviously Steph Curry's going to be able to play. Missed it last year. Marty Fish won it. Tony will be there. It happens July 11th through the 13th. And we have an aspect of it that is really neat. It's the fantasy football. If you go to ACC fantasyfootball.com, you have an opportunity to be able to select players from 5 different groups. You put your group together, and each day you can change players. You don't have to keep the same ones. If you win the first day on the 11th, you get 2 tickets to next year's tournament. You win the 12th, you get 2 tickets. If you win the overall, you wind up with a $10,000 check donated to the charity of your choice, and also 2 tickets to next year's tournament. And this is going to be my 35th out of the 36 that have been played. So I'm excited to get back out there and get ready to, try and learn to hit driver 3-wood. I don't have the length I had before, so now I have to modify my game. It's like being a quarterback. Okay, they changed the defense on me. Now I got to figure out another way to beat them.
I absolutely love that, Joe. And hey, one last question for you then. Okay, so for you, what is the one thing that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to have to guard against when you win a Super Bowl? Now, if I'm not mistaken, you guys beat the Dolphins, and then you lost to the Raiders.
Correct.
Because you went back. And that year, you guys won 14 games. Is that right? You won. Yeah, 14?
we were 14-2 that year. Lost 2 games in 1983 by 2 points, 38-37 to the Green Bay Packers. I believe 34-33 to the Dallas Cowboys in the middle of the season. So yeah, we did well. I think the biggest thing is obviously complacency, but it's a shorter off season for them. So you have to be able to take care of your body and the training. And now you're doing it's 16, 17 games. So it's a little bit more of a strain. But I think staying focused and just, you're going to go through the ebbs and the flows. But I still think that, to me, offensive and defensive lines are the biggest difference in winning and losing in football. I think if they can keep their people healthy, they're going to be a load to deal with. And that was something in Washington. Nobody talked about our offensive line last year, which was a good thing, because normally they talk about them being bad, like, for example, what the Jets had to deal with. Not a whole lot of good things happening, so people talk about it. I think our guys did a heck of a job, as well as the D-line. But Philadelphia, I think, just has to guard against a little bit of complacency, a little bit of, you get into a close game and say, you know what, we won it last year, we can do it again. No, it doesn't work that way. You can't live on last year's performances. Every year is a new year. Every game is a new game. And so they have to be able to move forward that way. Still going to be tough to contend with, still a very talented football team. But I think this division all the way around has gotten a bit better. And I think we'll be going toe to toe with them this year in Washington.
And you bring up the point here, Joe, where, you had Riggins and the Hogs. They've got this old line, and they've got Barkley.
Yep.
You're afforded so much opportunity and play action and spreading the ball around and doing whatever when you're dominant at the physical point of attack like you guys were. And by the way, maybe your defensive line was underrated too. You guys had tremendous ball players on that side of the ball, and that was a forte of Bobby Beathard, building the lines.
But, Dan, this is something to think about. You're familiar with the giveaway takeaway ratio in football, right?
Absolutely.
Our 1983 football team, we were plus 43. Teams get to 18 and 19. If they're plus 18 or 19, you're probably playing championship nowadays. That's how good that football team was. We averaged almost 34 points a game. We took the ball away 3 times more per game than we gave away. It was an incredible football team. Coach Gibbs and the staff that he put together was incredible. I do want to say one thing about Aaron Rodgers, though. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have a really good year. And the reason why is simply because he's not the assistant general manager like he was with the Jets. When he was with the Jets, he wanted this guy. He wanted that guy. And they'd go get a player for him, and they'd go get another player for him. Now he just gets to play football again. I remember this happening to Brett Favre a number of years ago, where, you wanted certain people, and part of your mind was working on personnel. The other part was playing football. AR is going to be all football, all business year. Wouldn't be surprised if he winds up winning comeback player of the year.
Wow. Joe Theismann. By the way, how good's your golf game? You're going to be out there playing?
Dan, it's a beautiful day here. Lots of sunshine. No, it's I'm working on my short game. As a matter of fact, it's really funny.
What, in your office?
I called in an hour early, right? So I call in an hour early. Okay. The clock at the club was wrong. I was up there practicing. I'm going, oh crap. I got a show to do with Dan. I got to run back to the house. I get to the house. I'm sweaty as can be. And all of a sudden I'm an hour early. I'm thinking, I could have practiced putting a little bit more, but I love the game. I'm beyond passionate about it. I'm obsessive with it. I talk to my boys, Joe and Pat, all the time about it. We're always talking about the game of golf. I love it. I love playing the game. I love thinking about the game. I love trying to figure the game out. And, to me, when I get out there to the American Century Championship, one of my favorite things to do is to hit balls next to Annika Sorenstam, because she's just so smooth and so good. And I play on in the Pro-Ams on the LPGA tour with the ladies. And I'm telling you something, if you really want to help your game, watch them hit balls. Look at the tempo, look at the pace. And you think, everybody, you tend to look at the game of golf and you say, if I swing harder, it's going to go further. If I swing faster, it's going to go further. No, that's not the case. It's all tempo. And I learned so much from it. Annika's just a delight to be around.
Absolutely. I played in an event with her in Orlando. And man, I mean, you sit there and you're like this. She's hitting this thing 300 yards down the field. You're like, holy cow! And in her one of her irons, it looks like somebody put a quarter in the middle of it. I go, what's that?
Isn't that amazing?
Is that a special club? She goes, no, that's where I hit the golf ball. I go, that's the golf ball where you hit all the time?
All the time.
It's remarkable. Joe, thank you for all your time, always finding time for me. You are such a great friend, and I want to thank you again. You need me for anything, please never hesitate. Thank you again, my friend.
Appreciate it, Dan. Thank you. And I want everybody to log on to accfantasygolf.com, pick your team together, pick from 5 different groups. And like I say, every day you can change, and good luck. And we'll see everybody out at the tournament. NBC, Peacock, and the Golf Channel is where we'll be.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you, my friend. Have a great 4th.
You got it, buddy. Bye-bye.
You got it. That is Joe Theismann. Always a great conversation with my friend. Man, absolutely awesome talking with Joe Theismann. I loved what he said. Oh, by the way, M. Reyes, how you doing? Top 5. Terry McLaurin. Damn. I don't know. Wait a second here. That's a NFL MVP. Terry McLaurin. Top 5. Damn. And then he's ripping on A.J. Brown for reading War and Peace on the sideline. Damn. Oh. All right. What's more realistic, Notre Dame winning a natty or Manti Te'o having a real girlfriend? Awesome cast. Oh, that's very funny, by the way. So, Terry McLaurin, Michael Irvin, top 5. I mean, Devontae Smith's better than that guy? I don't think so. And then he rips AJ for reading War and Peace. Oh, my God. What happened there? I'm just saying, man. Yes, everybody does believe that. The only people that don't are the ones in Philly, dude. I told you that. Terry McKee, dude. Oh, man. AJ, a champ, just like that old fart. Hey, I'm just saying.